Globally, businesses and corporations are faced with challenges that requires fresh thinking on strategy, leadership, and governance to survive. The Anchor is a program designed to help organizations and individuals to be skilled in handling challenges. Join Dr. Osare Emokai, a development economist and a corporate strategist, for this interactive, informative, educative program.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's episode of The Anchor. Today we're going to be talking specifically about brand management. My name is Dr. Osare Emokai. I'm a development economist and a corporate strategist. And I have by my left Mr. Tony Anya, who is an erudite scholar on strategy and research, and who then functions in he wears two hats. And those two hats, number one, is that he's a strategic and research director of the Mindshare Group, as well as the deputy rector of a Jones School of Management. So, Mr. Tony Anya, you are welcome to this episode.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be in the program.
Very good, very good. Thank you for coming. I truly appreciate you. And on to my right, I'm introducing Mr. Ebi Tebepina, who is also a scholar in media practice. He's a scholar there. But he is also doubles as the vice chairman of the Mindshare Group. And Mindshare Group is made up of two main big operations, which is called Mindshare Data Tech and Mindshare Communications. And he is the vice chairman of that group. Mr. Ebi Tebepina, I want to welcome you to this episode.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Okay, that's beautiful. And so we're going to launch on into what we'll be talking about today. We're going to be talking about brand management part 1. We're going to take you through about 7 episodes on brand management. We'll be doing the introductory part today. We want to go now on a short break. And after that, we're going to delve into what brand management is all about.
Are you a small business owner, a trader, a school owner, a federal civil servant, a Lagos or Edo civil servant, a farmer or a farm supply merchant? Do you need a loan or wish to fix your money for a high yield interest? Talk to us today and get your loan in less than 24 hours. Visit our website on www.lapo-nigeria.org or call us on 0813-984-0230. Email info@lapo-nigeria.org.
I welcome you back to this very exciting discussion on what is a brand. What is a brand? You know, there are different types of brands, and it's important that I first just let you know about. There's what we call the institutional brand. There is also what we call the value brands. And thirdly, what we call extant brands. You know, when you look at all these, whether you call it extant, whether you look at institutional, whether you look at value, brands are brands, and there are common features, okay? Institutional brands usually deal with organizations. So when you talk about institutional brands, you are dealing with corporations and looking at them, organizations, NGOs, and all that, who can actually build themselves up onto a point in which they will have about 4 components, because usually in a brand, there are about 4 components within a brand. And when you then have an extant brand, you begin to talk of personalities. In other words, myself, Dr. Emokai, I'm a brand, and I can actually be categorized within what we call the extant brand, you know. So every single one of us is a brand, and so we have institutions are brand, and we then have what we call the value brands, and those are products and services. So when you come out of products and services, you actually call them because they are intended to deliver specific value onto the consumers, onto the people who they are set out, you know, to resolve their problem. Brands are not intended to just be a chattel. Brands are intended to be solution providers, and solution providers for needs in the lives of people, in the lives of institutions, in the lives of community. And that's what brand is all about. And it's such an exciting thing. In fact, I want to tell you, if you truly understand what a brand is and the power of a brand, and you develop yourself, as a power brand, we call some people power brand, you find that what you evoke every single place you go, you evoke attention, you evoke patronage, you evoke so many good things. And that's why the issue of brand. And I want to thank God. It wasn't what I thought I should be doing, because as a teenager, in my young teenager, I'm becoming early adult, 21, 23, when Unilever came to interview me, in the university, and then they employed me to come in to work for them. I actually thought, because as an economist, I should in fact be working in their planning department, or I should be involved in their strategy department, or even in terms of the value chain defining and all that. But in the wisdom of Unilever at that time, they decided to send me to marketing. And I went to marketing, and the first thing I then had to was to be a brand manager, and then senior brand manager, managing several portfolios of brands. And so that is actually how my career started, on this side, after graduation from university. So it's something, my first love, as it were. And, when I see people, the way sometimes people behave, the way people carry themselves and all that, I feel a little concerned, because they do not know every single action or inaction can add or discount the brand that you carry. And that's why it's very important, the way you carry yourself in life. If you want to talk about the Esther brand yourself, the way you move in, the what you speak, how you are in your home, in your community, all those things can begin to evoke, some meanings that people bring onto defining what kind of brand you are. So let me technically give a couple of definitions of brand management. I've tried to explain what it is. Brand management is a function that has to do with choice of a desirable product architecture to position it and build it up and promote it to become something that delivers value, which you now call brand. It's also using product life cycle, product life cycle to the benefit of a brand, to continue to deliver value to the desired customers and other stakeholders. It is a framework. You can also call branding a framework, in marketing, that uses techniques to increase the perceived value of a product, over time. There's this other thing. I was at a seminar. The seminar was in Hamburg in Germany. And I was at that seminar in 1991. And I can still remember this Australian, scholar who was a part of the program we had in Hamburg, and he said one thing, which I checked later. He said, product dies. He said, brand never dies. My God. What do you mean by that? They say brand can never die. So what do you mean by brand can never die? And this Australian, very proud guy, put two hands in his pocket and was walking there. He was the CEO of the biggest marketing communication company in Australia at that time. And I had to really go into my book to find out, why is it that a brand never dies? He said, every other thing can die. He said, brands never die. In the course of this, of going through the next 6-7 episodes, you will see why brands never die. In improving your company visibility, and indeed your brand to have power, brand management is one term that you can't ignore. If you see businesses that are really not doing well, they've not been able to institutionalize brand management, managing brands. You can almost take brand management as managing a brand. And what is managing a brand? What does it mean? It's actually having an oversight on the brand. You look how effective that brand is in terms of delivering value, and how efficient it is in actually ensuring that there are no wastages. And then you build something in it that allows the brand to move on forever. Brand management begins with carefully articulating and clarifying brand essence. Brand essence is something we're going to be discussing as well. Brand essence, which is core in the core product. We are also going to be talking about the audio, which is what gives the perception, the halo around the brand. We're going to be talking about packaging. And how do you intersect these three the Oreo, the essence, and the packaging in such a way that it can become power brands that people will value and will live forever. So it requires a practical understanding, but it also requires an intellectual dimension, doing this. And, and if you do not have the intellect, you are not particularly strong intellectually, sometimes you can be a little confused. And you can be a little confused, about it. Now, I want to call Mr. Ebi Tebepina, who himself is, it is a scholar, as I said, in media independent practice, in media planning and buying, and as well now as the vice chairman of a branding company, which is the Havila, which is the Mindshare Group. They're actually a branding company. Over to you. Maybe you want to intersect, you want to come into what are the components of a brand?
Thank you very much, sir. Just drawing our attention back to what you said, sir. If we really want to be relevant in today's world as a brand, moving from product to a brand, you really need to understand this concept of brand management. And you've really said that you want to talk about your visibility, you want to increase your market position or know your position. You really need to know what brand management is all about. So the components of brand management are just three. We have the core products, we have packaging, and we have the aura. You mentioned that in while you were talking about it. So those three components are very key for you to have a brand or put a brand out there. The core product is what carries the seed of the brand, the essence of that brand, of the essence of the reason for existence, the purpose of existence. When you look at the packaging, you are talking about those attributes placed around that brand. Those are well packaged in such a way that the brand has what to offer out there. While the aura is the intangible part built around the brand. Those are the three.
The three things.
The three types of components.
The product, which defines the brand essence.
The brand essence.
We call that core product.
Yeah.
We call that core product, which is the brand essence. That's the reason for the being of the brand, number one. Then number two, it then mentioned the issue of packaging. There is a speech, I remember one of the ministers who said, the way you dress, you are dressed. So packaging is very important. And then he spoke about the Oreo. Let me just quickly give an example before I invite Mr. Tebepina. Let me just give an example. And we are not here to promote any particular brand, but we want to use it so that people can understand. So just permit me to talk about just one brand and show how these three connect. Those three components connect each other. I want to take a brand called Lux Soap. Now, if you look at Lux, it has a core product. That is the one that, you have all the elements that will make you to, you wash yourself and you are clean. So the ingredients are there. So that is there. Then you have the packaging. And I remember in my days in Unilever, there was some time, because of the Oreo that was put on it, the Oreo that was put on that brand was something that will evoke beauty. It will evoke all kinds of good things, because it's within that Oreo that made us to put the kind of perfume that you put in there. We then called it the brand of the most beautiful women. We wanted to send out that message that Lux is for beautiful women. And at that time, we brought in Patti Boulay. We brought in all kinds of models, very beautiful models, very beautiful models to advertise it. And so it was If it was the brand for the most beautiful women, then what kind of wrapper should he carry? And that was how we came into what we call the pearlescent wrappers. Pearlescent wrappers were wrappers that glow. And sun cannot actually destroy them when you put that brand in the open market. So you can see, the core product with the perfume, and then because it was made, so who did we use in terms of packaging? We're going to look at the packaging. We have to use the pearlescent wrapper to actually evoke that this brand is for the most beautiful women, and as well the kind of perfume that we put in there was also to suggest that. So that is where I want to come to some break. We want to go on break now. And after that, I'm going to be inviting Mr. Anya, to begin to take us onto the brand architecture as it is and take us further in the discussion.
Concord Security Services provides impeccable security services to its diverse clients, from banking to telecoms, from international examination institutions to big restaurants. Our emphasis on the use of cutting-edge technology to provide solutions to prevalent security challenges gives us a competitive edge in the industry. Our array of services include man guarding, CCTV, perimeter fencing, full body scanners, metal detectors, VIP protection, escort services, due diligence, and event security. We offer extensive trainings to our security personnel to improve their physical fitness, mental alertness, and exceptional skills in managing complexity at our 2 training centers in Ed John School of Management and in Ilasa office. Engage our services today and let us give you peace of mind. Concord Security and Protocol Services Limited is located at 25 Abiyakuta Street off Beliat Bus Stop, Ilasamaja, Oshodi, Apapa Expressway, Lagos. Telephone
0805 690 8568
or 0805 119 9931. Send a mail to info@concordsecurityng.com or visit our website at www.concordsecurityng.com.
So welcome back to this very interesting discourse on brand management. And this next intervention, I'm inviting Mr. Ayan to please take us through how you actually cascade this into communications.
Thank you very much. Those of us that are familiar with construction or building, we been hearing of what architecture is. The same way we bring it into brand management. You know that when a builder starts building, you first of all draw his plans before he takes the plan to the site to start building. So bringing that concept into brand management, there are 3 things we have to decide on. One is key message creation and cultivation. Secondly, differentiation. And thirdly, competitive market analysis. So what does key message creation and cultivation entails? You have to create a message that will be able to sell that brand you are managing. That message should have to be very, very easy to comprehend and to call. Then what are you going to differentiate that brand from? I mean, what is the meaning of differentiation? You now try to align that brand by all the elements like brand essence, promotional activities, and all those things, and the brand's characteristics. And that means you must have done your homework to know all these things for you now to align that brand with all those things you have identified. And then when we are talking of the competitive market analysis, you know, the brand is not alone in the market. You have to find out what is it that competition is doing. What is it they are doing better than you? What am I supposed to do to even be ahead of them? That's what the competitive marketing analysis is all about. Then let's come back to the brand architecture itself. When we talk of brand architecture, what are the contents Because before you know what it is, you have to know exactly what are inside brand architecture. One is monolithic. And we are going to look at why some brands are named what they have now, the way some brands are named. One is monolithic. When we're talking of monolithic, we are talking of the brands that carry the umbrella name. That's the same name, the products, we have it in all the brands. That is monolithic brand architecture. Then we also have differentiated. By differentiation, we are talking about the brands, different brands from an umbrella company that have different names. That means they have been differentiated. They are not carrying the umbrella name. So the next one is endorsed. Those are endorsed identity. They may not carry the name of the umbrella company, but if you look at very well within the label of the brand, you see where the name of the umbrella company is. That's endorsed. And then those other ones that are commoditized. So these are the things that are contained in brand architecture.
The four. Okay. Now, let me just quickly just say this. Because I was a consultant to a couple of these companies. I consulted them for so many years. So, and I want to just give you the example. I'm not promoting them, but it's just for, because the audience want to really learn. I believe they want to really know. And so we can use this, my own experience and indeed our collective experience in actually managing brand for big companies and big brands. Let me take the first one, monolithic, where products all carry an umbrella name. NASCO, for instance. I consulted for NASCO for close to 20 years. And you find every product of NASCO is called NASCO. NASCO conflicts, NASCO biscuits, NASCO this, NASCO that. NASCO, that is what we call monolithic. Just one name covers every single product. So it becomes what we call power brand, NASCO. So as I said, I consulted as consultant to NASCO for over 20 years. And I know how we try to build the brand in terms of the essence, the packaging, and the audio, and ultimately how that product, how it delivered. Now, let me also give another example. And that example is the one monolithic, differentiated. They produce different Unilever, okay? That is where I cut my teeth because that's what brought me to Lagos, Unilever. So I was a brand manager there, and senior brand manager in Unilever for so many years. And there, what do they do? Products have different names. So you have Omo. At the time, I was managing Vim Scorers. At the time, I was managing a Key Soap. I was also managing Sunlight. I also deputized in managing Omo, okay? Omo detergent. So right in there, everyone carries his own name. Omo, Sunlight, whatever. That's what we call differentiated. Now, that's an example. So that's an experience I had for several years, working with them first as a brand manager and later even as a consultant. I've been a consultant to them for quite a number of years, I think for about 5 or 6 more years after I left that. And the third one, the endorsed identity. You see the endorsed identity, a combination of monolithic and differentiated in branding. And you tend to find some of these with Nestle. I also consulted for Nestle for several years as well. If you look at Dangote, Dangote uses the same tool, the monolithic tool or strategy in development. So it's Dangote Sugar, Dangote this. And by grace of God, I also was a consultant to Dangote for about 10 years. As a consultant to Dangote for about 10 years. And during that time, I could understand why they chose the monolithic paradigm, if you like. And then the commodity one, where you find generics, that's the four. And you find so many medicines you find in our country today are generics. So they be commoditized. And so it's not so much about the name anymore. It's about the efficacy of the product. So let me quickly, to close this session, I want to take you some power brands in the world. Just give some examples in the world. And we can maybe about 10 power brands, and we can also talk about power brands in Nigeria. That's why I want to bring this to a close, this section. Now, some of these power brands, for instance, number one, Apple. And at the time in which we were looking at this power brand, when we were researching this, there was a value given to Apple. And as at that time, I think it was last year. I think this record came out of last year's report. Last year's report, okay. Yes. And where they had done $234 billion. $234 billion. Power brand, Apple. You say Apple, is it the way they did it and it's half chopped off by somebody maybe eating it? I don't know who chopped it off. And he then developed. And how did he develop the power brand? He first had to go to Xerox. It was from Xerox he got inspiration of how to be power brand. And as at the time we did this, what we put together today, it was about the most powerful brand in the whole world. With that kind of value, almost $300 billion. Then you then have Google, which is even more about half of what Apple, and 168. Maybe you can put that about $200 billion, Google. And then you then go to Microsoft as number 3. Number 4, Coca-Cola. I don't want to be reading, their values. Let me just go. Coca-Cola, then Amazon, then Samsung, which is Korean, Toyota, which is Japanese, Facebook, which is American, Mercedes, which is German, and IBM, which is American. So those are the 10 most powerful brands. I was trying to find out where GE is. Well, I do remember years ago, maybe about 20 years ago, GE was the most powerful brand in the world, GE, but it seems they've dropped off even this 10. And how do you actually measure brand value? There was the issue that we will be taking on how to measure brand value. Brand value, when you measure brand value, is not just about what it delivers, in terms of to the consumer. It also has other indices you bring to look at brand value, in terms of what other stakeholders, the investors, the consumers, those in the value chain, it enables you to actually be brand value. And also there are issues about perception about the brand in which you can begin to put numbers in terms of perception. When you build all that robustly, you can then have what we call brand value. So that is the brand. And if we were to look into our country today in terms of power brands in this country, outside these global power brands, of course, I believe that we've not done any measurement because we don't have a document to do that. But just from the top of our head, we will look at Dangote, because virtually everywhere you go, either it's truck or it's whatever, you are saying Dangote. And it's the most capitalized thing in the country. So I want to suspect that in terms of power brand, Dangote would be maybe number 1 brand in Nigeria. Those are, as it were, looking at our own country. We don't have the numbers, but we're just guessing which are power brands. And so I want to bring this session to a close today. We've taken you to just give you introduction in this first episode of what is brand and how do you build brands? What kind of architecture do you require in being able to hone the kind of brand that you desire? This is where we bring this to a close today, and we're going to go on to the next episode. And we'll go on to that next episode. We will dive a little deeper into what branding is and what is required to build power brands. I want to thank every one of you who've been listening to us. You are viewing this program. Honestly, I think if there's a program that can bless any business person today, anybody, whether you are in ministry, whether you are in business, whether it's about your own personal life, I think this is the program you should be watching. You should be watching the anchor, because we're going to be working on this for quite some time for each and every one of us. And I want to thank Mr. Ebi Tebepina, the Vice Chairman of the Mindshare Group. And I want to thank Mr. Anya, who is the Deputy Director of for Finding Time of John School of Management and also Research and Strategy Director for the Mindshare Group. I want to thank the crew. I want to thank each and every one of you for making it possible today. And for all those who are watching us, may the Lord bless you. Until we come your way again, please try to stay safe. And bye-bye.
Mindshare Communications Limited is a world-class marketing, communications, and branding consultancy firm located in Lagos State, Nigeria. We offer a wide array of consultancy and promotional services to corporate businesses and firms. Our services include strategic marketing activities, public relations, advertising, social media management, digital marketing, web development, brand development, marketing activation, strategic branding, market intelligence activities, and telecoms, ranging from CUG management to airtime vending. Call Mindshare Communications today to help you achieve your goals. For further information, please contact Abiola on 0807 739 0974. Send a mail to info@mindsharelimited.com or visit our website at www.mindsharelimited.com. Address 184A Kaduna Road, Crystal Estate, and Muwadafi Estate, Lagos.